I'm 81 years old, and I'm saying this now because I don't have much time left to keep quiet. Most of my life passed without anything dramatic happening, and that's part of the problem. I sit at my kitchen table most mornings before the light comes up. The house is quiet in a way that feels permanent. I used to think silence meant peace. Now I know it can also mean absence. I'm not telling this because I need forgiveness or understanding. I'm telling it because once you get to this age, the truth stops feeling optional. You either say it, or it dies with you. I spent my life avoiding conflict. I thought it made me a good person, easy to work with, dependable, calm. What it really did was slowly erase me. When I was younger in my 20s and 30s, I believed conflict was something you outgrew if you were mature enough. I watched my parents argue themselves into exhaustion, and I promised I'd do better. I'd be steady. I'd be agreeable. I'd keep things from getting ugly. At work, I was the one who stayed late without complaining. I took on extra tasks when others pushed back. If a supervisor crossed a line, I told myself it wasn't worth making waves. I had a paycheck. I had stability. That felt like winning. At home, I learned the same habits. If something bothered me, I let it slide. If my partner dismissed something I cared about, I told myself it wasn't important. I believed love meant patience, endurance, keeping the peace. There were moments when I almost spoke up. You feel it in your chest first. A tightening, a thought that says, say something now. I almost never did. I convinced myself I was choosing harmony. I didn't see that I was choosing silence instead. Life didn't fall apart all at once. That's not how it happens when you avoid conflict. Things just thin out, conversations get shorter, invitations slow down. Decisions get made without you because you've trained people not to expect input. I missed birthdays because I didn't want to argue about time off. I skipped difficult conversations because I didn't want to upset anyone. I let friendships fade because reaching out felt like imposing. None of it felt tragic in the moment. That's the danger. Each choice made sense on its own. I told myself there would be more time, more chances to explain how I felt, more opportunities to be honest when it really mattered. Years passed that way, decades really. Jobs changed. People moved. I kept being the reasonable one, the quiet one, the man who didn't cause trouble. I thought that meant I was respected. I see now, I was mostly unnoticed. The turning point didn't arrive with shouting or slammed doors. It came with a phone call on a Tuesday afternoon. My wife had been sick for a while. Not dramatically, just enough to change routines. I was used to not asking questions. She died faster than I expected. In the hospital room, after the machines were quiet, I realized how many things I had never said. Not arguments, not complaints, just truths. Things I thought I was saving for later. Later never came. I stood there holding her hand, and for the first time in my life, avoiding conflict didn't feel noble. It felt cowardly, not because I hadn't fought, but because I hadn't shown up fully. After that, the world got smaller. Friends checked in at first, then less often. Work moved on without me. Retirement arrived, and with it, long stretches of unstructured time. That's when the cost really showed itself. When you avoid conflict long enough, you also avoid connection. You stop being known. People can't meet you where you are if you never tell them where that is. I look back now and see how many relationships stayed shallow because I was afraid of discomfort. How many moments I traded honesty for quiet. Some things can't be fixed. You don't get to reopen conversations with the dead. You don't get to redo years where your presence might have mattered more than your compliance. I can't call my wife and tell her the things I kept to myself. I can't go back to my children's younger years and explain that my silence wasn't indifference. It just looks that way from the outside. What's gone is gone. Time doesn't negotiate. If you're listening to this, I'm not asking you to become confrontational or loud. I never was, and I don't think that would have suited me anyway. I'm only saying that avoiding conflict isn't the same as choosing peace. Peace has a voice. It requires presence. Sometimes it requires saying something awkward and letting the room change because of it. I wish I had known that discomfort passes, but absence lasts. That people don't remember how agreeable you were. They remember whether you were there. These days, I speak more, even when my voice shakes. There aren't many people left to hear it, but I do it anyway. It feels honest. It feels late. I don't have advice, really. Just a truth earned the slow way. Silence feels safe until you realize it's what kept your life small. If this meant something to you, sit with it. You don't have to act right away. Just don't assume there will always be more time. I'm 81 years old. My days are quiet now. I accept that. I just wish I had understood sooner that avoiding conflict didn't save my life. It kept me from living it.